I'm interested in the first word on the back of the book saying, I don't believe in the term gang.
Yeah.
Why not?
Gang is a word that can be used to criminalize the individual. So, for example, if we use the word gang, you kind of desensitize the human experience. A lot of stories about the streets have started predominantly from the teenage stage, when everybody knows that at the teenage stage you don't really know, a young person doesn't know his own ID or her own ID. We talk a lot about learned behaviors in life. We talk a lot about childhood trauma and all these other stuff. For me, in Prison to the Streets, I made it my duty to do what nobody's ever done before in this subject: focus on a child. Nobody's ever done that. The reason why I did that, because I didn't like being labelled a gang member. When I was in university studying youth justice and criminology, I felt as though it didn't tell the narrative, it didn't tell the story. So when I say not a gang member, I say it's yeah, there was violence, yeah, there was a whole bunch of other stuff, but it's what you learn. So just to give you a quick example, I'm from Holly Street Estate. A lot of people who lived around the area, we were friends, we grew up together, we formed friendships, yeah, we got into trouble for whatever reasons. But then some people outside of Holly Street, so now I'm starting to understand why people use this gang narrative, but for me it was just the organic experience of growing up with my friends. But
so you didn't know you were in a gang or becoming part of a gang?
I wasn't.
You were just you with your friends and the
yeah, we was just growing up. I wasn't in a gang, we was just growing up. And basically you got people from outside the circle who probably heard about the reputation of the area, heard about the people, and like myself and a few of my friends, and they jumped on that wagon. So the concept of that word gang is such an ugly term, but right now it's the whole every label. So you got knife crime, gun crime. I'm about solutions. I'm about fixing stuff. I'm not about sensationalizing stuff. So for me, there is no knife crime. There is no gun crime, because guns don't kill people. People kill people. So let's stop focusing on the criminality side of it and understand the human mindset to change it. And that's why I said Prison to the Streets, because we're not up against a war against weapons. We're not up against war against gangs. We're up against a mindset.
So how do you go about changing that mindset? Question one. And question two, how does that mindset come about in the first place? Is it done through what we hear about social deprivation, about lack of opportunity, lack of ambition, perhaps?
It's a lot of things, and you can answer that question in many different ways. You could look at what the system's doing, what the system's not doing. Me, I choose to look internally. A lot of people fight this situation looking at the government, looking at we would need more youth clubs. Yeah, a lot of that's true, but a youth club is not going to change the mindset of an individual. You can have all your knife bins, you can have your mothers against guns, you've tried everything else. You can have all these so-called ex-gangsters who work with police and all these other narratives, which doesn't deal with the human, it deals with criminalizing individuals. So you can never fix a problem if you can just continue to criminalize individuals. You reinforce stereotypes at the end of the day. So for me, the solution is about changing the mindset, dispelling the myths of the streets, even reaching up to people in the streets to let them know the street culture is fake now. There's no honor in the fact that you can stab someone and there's 5 of you against one person. There's no.
Did you feel that when you were involved in it? Did you feel like there was a sort of reputational need to carry a weapon or to get involved in that level of crime, that you had to do it through some sense of community or responsibility? You see what's interesting, and I like this position I'm in now, because I get asked questions about this like I'm some expert in crime, and this is what's interesting. I come from a system which is not fair. Schools are failing a lot of young individuals. And like I've come from, if you read the book, I had racial harassment by the age of 2. That's enough to, if it was a celebrity, they'll be talking about their childhood trauma and making a big deal about it. But I'm just somebody from the streets, so my story is not important. My childhood trauma wouldn't be important. I explain bullying. So when it comes to crime, a lot of individuals have their own reasons for what led them to crime. And I know that fear plays a big part. And that, my whole purpose of the book is getting young people to look at themselves honestly, reflect on the streets honestly, understand what is real and what isn't real. And if we can get to the young people at a young age, rather than doing all this intervention based work, and we can get into the schools. When I say we, I keep saying we. Yes,
not we. I'm not going to keep saying we. If we can get the prison to the streets concept in to the schools, we can change minds. As you know, the young man who killed Kwamari Barnes said that if he had read this book before killing Kwamari Barnes, he would not have done it. And he said that to the judge, and he apologized to the parents. So for me, I'm just fed up of, after 10 years of trying to push a message which is a solution, which everyone keeps asking for solutions. I've given solutions, strategies. I've given my idea, which is a theory, and I'm asking to execute it. That's all I'm asking for. Can I be put in a position to go into the schools and execute to make the change, and then measure knife crime in 3 years' time?
Well, we certainly need solutions, don't we? Because the problem is becoming...
We've got solutions. We just need people to fund those solutions. The books on the curriculum, young people are learning and they're understanding that the street life isn't cool. The books in a school in Hampstead, and it's on the curriculum in year 9, and they just did their GCSE. So for me, that is all what we need to change the mindset. It's not about, like I said, it's the mind. If you can get into the mind and you can dispel the myths and discredit what the street stands for as a whole culture, because right now it is, the streets is talked about like it's this big place. The streets is a joke. There's no honor. There's no, if you can stab someone and there's 5 of you against one person, when I was younger, someone would have said, them guys are cowards, but no one ain't saying it now. So I think we need to bring back the old school, and I say old school principle. And
the mentality of what led you into that, believing in the streets and the life on the streets, was what? Just growing up in the area?
It's a variety of things. Like I'm saying, it's broken families. I was told my dad was killed when I was younger. My granddad got shot in the head. There's a whole bunch of stuff I could
shot in the head
in America. And it's my mother's dad, so it's close to home. And they say hurting people hurt people. So I had a lot of pent-up emotion. You could probably hear it in my voice now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's not because I'm angry. I'm passionate and I'm frustrated that you have to keep bite-sizing this to explain to people who don't want to look at the human. My theory is in this book, there's 4 stages for the workshop, because this is what I focus on the workshop to get through to the young people. The first stage is the unconscious prisoner, the child before the prisoner, the child before the prisoner, looking at the mindset of a child, learnt behaviors, how they deal with conflict resolution, a whole list of things, but I'm not going to give too much. The second stage is the unconscious prisoner, then the conscious prisoner, then prisoner up for parole. Now, this is all about your mind. And then the last section is post-traumatic street syndrome, which I'm probably still dealing with now, when you deal with the past and things that you've been through. And I'm still having to talk on a topic which is not really desirable. I just want to be an author and celebrate the facts that I've got 50 books down the road in Foyle's bookshop, and they pay for the books. And I used to work in Chiquito's a couple doors away, so I've come a long way. You know what I mean? I'm really proud of myself as an author, not just as a person who's from the street talking on the subject.
Well, listen,
making history right now.
If it can make a difference, it needs to make a difference, because a difference needs to be made on this subject. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, Tom. It's been a pleasure. Anyone listening, please, let's get behind the workshops, invest, let's make a change. You want solutions, we're right here.